see us.
All right.
Now,
One more time. Welcome to Facebook's live event, Leading Edge. This is sponsored by the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence. That's us. And we have several of our consultants and coaches online. And the purpose of this really is to answer your questions. So we would love to have you ask us whatever questions, business questions, sales questions, management questions, marketing questions, everything except how to fix a car. Now, Patrick and BJ and Ryan probably all can answer how to fix a car questions, but that's not what we're here about. And I used to be a technician, but that was 100 pounds ago and about 15 years ago, so I'm not qualified. With us today live on our event, we have BJ Lee. BJ is coming to us live from his truck on the Southern California freeways. BJ and I have known each other for 35 years, and I knew his life when I hired him 35 years ago. We've worked together for much of that time, owned shops together. BJ, how long have you been with the Institute now? About, well, if you count the first 7, about 12 years?
Probably total. There was some stuff in between there that we did when I was running my own shops where I would fill in for you. A lot of times where you got overwhelmed, too much going on, and you'd ask me to take on some stuff for you from time to time. So I went full time the end of 2014. So I've been full time now since then.
Okay. And BJ has owned multiple shops throughout his career, and he's one of the premier sales guys that I know of. He can sell just about anything in some very difficult places to sell. We have Ryan Clough. Ryan, his car broke down about 7 years ago. He went into a shop that was one of our clients. He liked it so much that he chased us down and became a client himself. And then when he was through with the program, decided that he wanted to help other shops. And so Ryan currently owns 2 shops in the Cincinnati area. And if you want to see the Garage Mahal, you go to Dubwerx, DUBWERX.com, and you'll be able to see the Garage Mahal. Ryan's got a great business. We also have Patrick Howard. Patrick came as a manager for one of our shops that we were working with about 3.5 years ago or so. I met Patrick and fairly recently bought his own shop. He's knocking it out of the park with that place and doing exceptionally well in Brea, California. And Patrick is also one of our coaches and consultants and does a lot of our sales training. Also, we're designing some cool stuff together. So the whole purpose of this really is to answer your questions. And we're hoping that many of you come online today and that you have questions. If you see this later, because we're going to repost it, and you have questions, you can get those questions answered at questions@iforabe.com. And if you're on Facebook Live and you type questions in, we'll be able to see those questions and get those questions answered pretty quickly. So since we don't have a large audience yet and we don't have any questions typed in, we're going to begin with a couple of different topics. And one of the topics that we're going to talk about is understanding your value or knowing your value, what your business is worth. I'm going to pose a question here. We have this interesting debate online and kind of almost throughout the industry right now about gross profit dollars per hour and gross profit margin, higher average repair orders, fewer customers or more customers, and potentially or probably lower average repair order. The question is, a lot of people are saying, some, that it doesn't really matter whether you have a low average repair order or you discount your pricing, even on the fly with your customer negotiating, as long as you make those gross profit dollars that you want to per hour in your business. So at the end of the day, I don't know, $200 an hour. We made, $200 an hour at the end of the day because we brought in the dollars and accepted that job, even though it was less than what we would have sold it for normally. What are your thoughts on that? I kind of probably know, but what are your thoughts on that? There is certainly a discussion about that out there. So let's start with BJ. BJ, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, when I think about that, I think about, well, we could really get to a good number if we move a bunch of cars in and out all day. And if we get it done fast enough, even if it's cheap, we can achieve those numbers, right? I don't know if you can handle quality doing things that way. So for me, I would rather move less cars in. I'd rather do a good quality job on each car that is in the shop to give my customer the best value than the other way around. I just can't see it working the other way around. Not where you can have a good culture in the business and really take care of your customer.
So I want to clarify something. When you talk about a good culture in the business, I'm going to be the argument the other way. If I take good care of that customer and they like me, and we only do a $280 or $310 average repair order, but we run 25 cars instead of 13, the customer still likes me. I still have a good culture. So when you're talking about culture, is it more than that, or what? Patrick, I see you shaking your head. So
yeah. I'm sorry. I just think that when you say the customer likes you because it's a $200 or $300 job and they're happy because it was cheap, they're going to like you today. But if you're not the cheapest next month, they're not going to like you next month.
Well, okay, what if they really like me and they come back next month or the 3 months later, and because I treat them so well, they still like me. So culturally, I'm trying to get somewhere with this, frankly. And I think culture is more than if my customer likes me. I think it's more than that. So I can see your point, BJ. I can see that, with a discount customer, if I'm discount marketing and I'm bringing that person in as a discount customer, it might be difficult the loyalty is not the same as a relationship-based customer.
Correct. Right.
At least that's what I believe.
That's what I believe.
Okay. Now, Patrick, you're up there shaking your head.
Well,
So
yeah.
We're going to let you go next. And then I think I think with Ryan, I probably have the one dissenter that's going to give us some different point of view here. So go ahead.
Well, my point is, when you're bringing that many cars in through the shop, you're increasing your liability. You're wearing your guys out. When you talk about culture in your shop, you want to take care of not only your customers, but you got to take care of your employees. Am I doing my guys any service by running double the car count at half the dollars? You're gonna ruin your guys. I know my guys love working there. We've got a steady car count. We maximize every car. We do a quality job, and our customers love us. And they keep coming back, and they tell all their friends about us, right? And that's how you grow a quality business.
Okay. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this? Because I think you're the one guy that might, have a little different perception here.
Well, I think without getting too philosophical, there's there's a lot of discussion around this, and there's going to be some different views. I think we all want to see the industry move forward, and I hope that we can have a discussion, and we can have a discussion in a way that honors everyone's view, and that's probably me just trying to get along with everyone. But so there's a couple of points to this. I think there's a lot of different areas, and we always want it to be black and white. It's just so much easier, if it's just some black and white, real simple, like we're going to do it this way, or we're going to do it that way. And the reality is often more complicated, and I'm willing to participate in the discussions and talk about the finer points, and I think that's what we're doing here. So a couple things I would say, there's been talk for years about margin, and I think there's been talk about, gross profit or gross profit per hour. To me, they're two sides of the same coin. The coin's net profit. So, if we're arguing over that, we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about money at the end of the day. When we talk about, average repair order and why that's so important, if a shop's average repair order is going too far below the national average, a couple things are happening. The shop's going to lose productivity time because of non-pay time. That's technicians racking, inspecting, test driving the vehicles. and it's the time it takes the service advisor to handle the customer properly. So a shop, for its own business interest, wants to maximize that time. Now, if you have empty bays and technicians standing around, we can talk about that. That's a kind of a separate discussion, but it's not this blanket, we're going to let our ARO drop. But probably the bigger concern that I have with, if there's a shop out there that says, yeah, I don't mind that my ARO is $300, I'm worried that customers are leaving without all the work done on their car. And that's more of a concern to me.
Yep.
Is this car going to be reliable? Have they been explained everything that they need? Did they not understand the value of the shop and they didn't trust? Like, why are they not having all that work done? And then another even more philosophical discussion is, what kind of customers are out there, and are there different shops, and, could there be shops that serve different customers' needs, and is that okay? And I'll stop there.
I think there's always shops that, obviously there's Walmart, and there's lots of people that love Walmart. My wife loves to go to Walmart. She'll wander the aisles and find stuff, and I hate Walmart. Not even necessarily because of their business philosophy and the fact that they really grind their vendors and stuff like that. And not even the fact necessarily that they don't pay their staff necessarily what they should be paid. But I hate Walmart because it's crowded. I hate the fact that people bump into me with their carts and they look at me like I'm, why did I get in their way, instead of saying, excuse me, or something like that. You can't find somebody to help you. There's all these different things about it that I just don't like. So I think, it's okay to be the shop that you want to be, and that there are customers that are just looking for discounts, and that's where they're going to go. But can I be as profitable in a shop that's running discounts or negotiating on the fly, or not? I think the answer is probably got to be mathematically yes. I probably can, because if I run enough cars through, I do enough dollars, and I do enough GP dollars, and I put enough money in the bottom line. But the more cars I run through, like you said, the more what I call brown bananas, the more stuff that I can't get paid for happens in my shop. Now, along with this, so maybe both are possible. I don't know that I could run a high volume, low dollar ticket shop myself. I don't know how to do that. And I think it's more than that. I think it's also about taking care of the car for the customer. I just have a hard time letting a car go that did not get fully inspected, and we didn't take the time to explain to the customer what that car really needs, whether they buy it or not. Right. Patrick, you're nodding again. Your thoughts around that?
I agree with you. I've been in both types of shop as a technician, as a manager, as from a technician's perspective. It's nice to have work, but there's a burnout factor involved there. For me, running my shop, I prefer the model that we teach. That's inspect every car thoroughly, a thorough sales process, a good sales process, explaining the value and fixing the car today, so they don't have to come in on a tow truck. It does two things. Increases morale in the shop. The guys have good, consistent work. The downtime, the brown bananas, I don't have to deal with as many of that because there's not as much racking and unracking cars. That's the model I choose to run. I have yet to experience a shop that has done well with that model consistently, the other model anyways.
Okay. BJ, what are your thoughts around that? I mean, more cars, fewer dollars per car.
Yeah, my thought has been for years and years, less cars, more dollars. I just can't get my head around, just the traffic of twice as many cars than you need to have in the shop. You just can't take good care of each customer as well as you can if you slow the pace down and work on one car for a longer length of time. So if you're working on 3 cars a day rather than 6 or 7 cars a day, I've just working with a shop in Illinois that's just having that same exact problem. They're pushing stuff in and out. And I just got off the phone a little while ago with them that, everything they're working on, 30% of it's coming back. It's just, they just can't do it. It just can't be. I just don't believe that it can be done. It can't be done um, thoroughly.
Maintain the quality.
It doesn't create a good quality job for the customer or for the company.
Yep.
But some people might say, so what? I mean, it's good enough for these people that they come back or they spend their money, and I'm making what I need to. So what? Again, I really have a hard time with that particular thing. I always think that whatever we're going to do, we ought to do it to the best of our ability.
Right.
But there is this, there's this discussion going on, and I think that we need to be a part of that discussion and to try to look at things from all views. I remember my father's shop. Dad would never charge what he was really worth in that shop. I don't think we took more cars than we should, but I think that ultimately it didn't work for him. Now, because ultimately that business failed long term. Right. I mean, he was there, he worked there, the shop, he didn't lose the shop. He actually sold it. But when he sold it, it had no real value because it wasn't doing the numbers that it needed to do.
Right.
There's also this idea that I've spent money on marketing and I have this overhead. And if I don't take this guy in, even though he won't pay my price, that I'm losing money. Because that guy could be paying my overhead, or that guy I came in because I spent money on marketing. Thoughts around that? We'll start with Ryan. What are your thoughts about me losing money on somebody who I don't work on their car?
I think it's a good example of another one of those things that it's not black and white. I do think that there are shops that have grown and done really well by sticking to who they are, and some of that is going to be a more philosophical, or like, what kind of shop do I want to be? And, things like culture and stress in the shop around some of the challenges that I think come from doing the discounting. You can't measure that stuff. So it's not going to be something where you can just easily like pick apart, two shops and go, well, this method works better. They both can work, but you've got to decide, what it means to work. And I do think, yes, there has been discussion around essentially empty bays. And I think someone online said, hey, really we're only talking like 5% of, our clients that we're even talking about this with. And so part of me thinks, maybe this is not as big of an issue as it needs to be, but I don't know, the word haggling came up, and that doesn't, have really, really good connotations. And I don't know. At Dubworks, we don't have empty bays. We're fortunate that way. I mean, not every shop's like that. So I think there's some guys out there that they just really want to grow. And I don't know. I'll be honest, I haven't done it that way. I like being open and having a discussion about it, but I don't have, direct experience. I think it's possible to grow, but I think there's going to be some things that come along with that. I think, some customers that may need to be converted later, staff challenges. How do you, managing a service advisor if they are given permission to discount, and we already have an issue, I feel like, especially with owners and service advisors emotionally discounting. So to me, I'd have to think about how am I going to write a process around that so I can ensure at the end of the week, if my numbers aren't where I want to be, and I go to the service advisor and go, hey, our GP is not where I want it to be. And they go, well, I discounted because I wanted to get the cars full, and we were full, but then we didn't make the money. And I'm not saying there isn't a way. I need to kind of sit down and think about it, or maybe someone can share, their process for managing advisors to make sure that we're only, and that's just a hypothetical.
So let's say that we do discount. We discount 5%. Okay. And now my net profit is down by 5%. So I'm making 15% instead of 20%. I'm making 10% as 5%. The average shop in the United States is probably not making more than 5%. And that's not you guys, but it is the average shop. And now I'm discounting on top of that, or that's why I'm making 5%, because I'm discounting. And it just seems to me like it's this runaround thing where I'm kind of stuck in this washing machine and can't get out of it because I'm not making enough
a cash
money.
flow trap.
It can be, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. I mean, there are some people that seem to be very successful doing it. I can't see it for myself. I've watched too many shop owners work too hard to see it. Hang on one sec, guys. I'm watching you on Facebook, so David and Seth and Patrick, guys that are posting on Facebook, I'm watching your stuff. Please, however, if you do have a question, pose that question. I know there's a lot of statements about that doesn't work and that's fear running the business, and I can't have as good a product if I don't charge the better price. But if you have a question, we'd love to hear it and love to answer it. Patrick, you had some comments to kind of add to that. I
was just agreeing that it becomes a cash flow thing. You live on the business I bought. He ran his business that way. It was a cash flow. He was as long as the bays were full, he was cash rich, right, for that day. I changed the business model when I came in, and what I found was the clients were not being taken care of. So when I came in, I find all these clients. Perfect example. Little old lady, 80-year-old lady came in during the transition, and her car needed $4,000 worth of work because he had been putting it off because he thought he was doing her some kind of favor by not fixing her car. And now her car's a death trap, and we've got to do this work. And and I've got to explain to her, after he's been telling her that her car's okay. And because I came in and changed the business model, we do a complete inspection, because I truly believe, coming from a technician's perspective, that if I do a complete inspection on the car, okay, because I got into this business to take care of people, right? I want to do a good job for my customer. And if I'm not looking at that car and I'm not at least presenting all the work to the customer, I don't feel like I'm doing my clients any service. It's a sad thing for people to turn a blind eye to not take care of their cars, because it's dangerous. I mean, this little old lady was a perfect example. It's difficult. It's difficult. This is a hard conversation because there's that balance. You want to keep the bays full, keep the guys working. And I agree with Ryan. It's a philosophical thing. Who do you want to be? And I guess that's really the question. Everybody has to ask themselves.
There's Charles Ramirez said, the real question is, how do you find a good balance? And I'm wondering if that's possible. When I was in California, I'm a Mormon guy, and I'm only bringing religion in just kind of as an example. And yeah, I swear, I try not to, but I was raised in a family that we swore a lot, etc. But I moved into Utah. In California, when you were Mormon, people were watching. You were very careful, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't drink coffee, etc. And then I moved into Utah, and in Utah, I would talk to people who had a drink in their hand, a beer in their hand, and a cigarette, and they would say, "Yeah, I'm Mormon too." I wonder if you can, be half of one and half of another when it comes to taking care of my clients, customers, and their cars, or not taking care of their cars the way that I believe the car should be taken care of. Is there this balancing act? Well, my customers that don't argue about price are going to pay one price, and my customers that do argue about price, I'm going to discount and bring the price down for them. Is that fair, and is that balance, right? I mean, do I have to be religiously the shop that takes care of the car, make sure everything gets looked at, presents everything, sells a high repair order, or do I have to be only the shop that discounts and has a low average repair order? Is there some middle ground that makes sense? I have a hard time with middle ground. I'm a pretty black and white guy. I understand gray area, and I know there are gray area in quite a few things, but I have a hard time with that. Ryan, what do you think about that? I mean, is there a middle ground?
I have a good example, actually. When we were in process of changing from doing oil changes to oil services, there was a time where we had both. And I hope he doesn't mind. One of my advisors really had trouble. He's like, I have a hard time selling this service when I know I can just sell them an oil change and we'll do the courtesy anyway. So I think it's important to think about the staff and struggles they might have with trying to be both. We put this into our culture. This is who we are. And yeah, now we're trying to kind of run two different business models, under the same roof. Now, I think there are some really, really gifted business owners and shop owners out there that, might find a way to make this work in some sense. But I think that preaching this or talking about this, I think 90% of the people in our circles out there, a lot of them are like us. We were individuals that started our shop or bought our shop, didn't necessarily know a lot. And we've already struggled with all this stuff. And there's so many pieces to the picture. So to give permission to so many people to discount, I think it just has the potential to do a lot more harm. And people, and another thing, consumers already have a huge trust issue. I feel like that's one of the biggest issues that we struggle with. Yeah. And so if we're allowing them to haggle, I think that really reinforces the idea that we're overcharging. And so, and especially if it's only, as someone online suggested, only 5% of their people that they are negotiating with, talk about taking it for the team. How about just sticking to your guns and saying, hey, this is the quality and this is why this price is. If you want a lesser price, you can go to Midas, and here's why I wouldn't recommend that. But they exist to serve you at that price. And I would like to see our industry raise up. And I think that, charging a fair price and explaining to our customers the value and helping kind of earn that trust. And so there's multiple sides to this point that, I think we can look at.
So we've got a couple of comments online, and they basically say, from Craig and Rocky and even David, we're the professionals, and our customers rely on us to tell them what's going on with the car, what the car needs. And would it be fair or professional if we don't do that because it's in our best interest not to, or we think it's in our best interest? Would you want to go to a doctor that held things back from you and didn't disclose other things because they didn't want to upset you or they didn't want you to pay the price? I can tell you, every time I go to the doctor, I swear and cuss about the cost of it all, but I want the doctor to tell me what's going on because I want to be a healthy guy. BJ, how do you, is there this aspect of, are we doing the right thing when we're rushing through the car because we have so many cars lined up that we really can't do a great inspection, not going to push the sales or push everything with the customer because we don't want them not to like us? Is that fair to the customer, even though it might be beneficial to the business? I don't know. I mean, I can't.
I think you really need to figure out for yourself what do you want out of this business, right? We have a business valuation calculator where you can say, okay, let's paint this picture of what I'd like to see my business look like, right? How much pay do I need to make? How much what vacation time am I going to take? All these different things, and then we structure the business around that, right? And I mean, if you don't know that and you're just flying by the seat of your pants, and at the end of the month you're saying, wow, everybody got paid but me. Well, why is that, right? You just really need to know your value. You need to look at all those things that you do. You need to, you treat your customers really well. I don't know. I get really frustrated on the other side of it. I know there's, different ways people run their business, right? And not everybody's going to do it exactly the same, and some are going to be more profitable than others. I mean, it's okay. There's probably enough for everybody, and we are trying to change the industry to see the way we see things, or we would like to see the industry go. I just find it really hard to give them everything they need and they deserve when they come to us by shooing them out as fast as possible. I just have a hard time with it, and I just can't get there. All
right, there's one more thing here, and then there's a couple of questions that we're gonna answer, but I think we need to go to this one more kind of question. So if I don't discount or haggle is probably too strong a word. If I don't negotiate some on my pricing with some of these customers, Oh, and then I got a whole nother idea here. So, uh, you know, and some of those people are going to walk away. That's going to hurt my business, that some people walk away and go somewhere else. Is that really going to hurt my business if that bottom 5%, that bottom 10% finds a shop that fits their model better, that they want better than my shop? If I'm the guy that says, look, we're going to do the inspection, we're going to make sure that we're making the profit that we're supposed to, we're going to sell the part at this price, we're going to sell the labor at this price, and I'm just not going to negotiate. So if I'm not the guy for you and you don't want to pay my price, go somewhere else. It's interesting because, you know, you go online, these guys have these Yelp comments or these Google comments, and if you look at the Yelp and the Google, a lot of it is because they brought the wrong customer into their shop who didn't really want what they wanted. Is it better to be a service advisor that's well equipped and well trained to handle those objections and build the additional value in and close out the customer? And is it better to spend that time and get that margin, or is it better to negotiate it down and not lose that customer potentially? You know, and again, I think I know what the answer is here, because a lot of us were in that same boat. We've been trained the same way with same kind of basic philosophies. I'm going to go ahead and say, Ryan, you know, is it better to keep that customer even if at a discount price, or is it better to let that customer go? Or should we train our salespeople to build that value so that we don't lose most of those people, but we still get our price? What's the better way to go?
Well, ideally, you know, we're able to explain our value in a way that they understand. And that's a lot of times what we are as educators. I often use the example, you know, people say, hey, I got to put $3,000 in this old car. The car's not worth that. And so we help them run through the math of, you know, depreciation and the cost each time you change, you know, say over a 10-year period, you own one car or you own 3 cars, and what that really costs you. It makes a really good case for taking really good care of a car until the engine pops or the transmission pops, and then it makes sense to kind of let it go. I also think a lot of people, if they have the means to own a car, a lot of times they have a credit card and they have a way to pay. They're just, you know, hoping to negotiate, which again, I think kind of can potentially hurt the industry. So I don't know. Again, it's going to come back to philosophical and what I believe. I think that it's a short-term thing. I think short-term, you can put more net profit dollars by filling your extra bays that way. I think it's very possible. I think, again, that's not going to work well for probably a majority of the shops out there. And again, I just worry that it's more of a short-term solution. I'm in this for the long haul. I want to be sustainable in my business, and I want to help the industry at the same time, and I want to help educate the customers. So
one more. I'm sorry, David. I know you have a great question. I'm going to get to it before we're done here. But I got to go one more. I got to push one more button here. I got to go one step further.
Pushing buttons,
right? Is it detrimental to the industry and to a lot of the other shops around who now find it more difficult to hold their margins because you're discounting, or is that's business, right? I'm going to be a discount shop. I'm willing to negotiate with my customers so that I get my GP dollars in, even if I have to do more cars at lower dollars. And the guy down the street or the whole industry as a whole, who gives a crap about whether or not we're fairly priced? I always say that currently we're probably $50 to $70 an hour less expensive than we should be as an industry, and that's being held down probably artificially by the guys that are willing to negotiate and they're willing to do the cheap stuff, cheap parts. They don't pay their techs enough, whatever. Is that dangerous for the industry that I decide to go ahead and have the philosophy of let's run lots of cars, we'll only sell them 1 or 2 things, and we'll negotiate if we need to? Is that dangerous for the industry? Patrick?
Yeah, I personally think it's absolutely dangerous. There's plenty of customers. There's a butt for every seat, right? But I don't want to do anything not only to damage my business, but I don't want to damage Ryan's business by creating a atmosphere where it's okay to discount so I can undercut the next guy. I want to my goal is to raise this industry up so that we as an industry are looked at as professionals, and we're valued as professionals, like a doctor. I don't agree with anything that diminishes that, and I personally choose not to be that person. I don't talk bad about other shops, and I actually I've fired a couple guys and referred them to other shops in the area that probably be able to take care of them. I want everybody to get what they need, but I don't want to do it at the detriment of other shop owners or the clients for that matter.
Okay, I'm gonna make the shift, and we're gonna answer David Johnson's question here. And I think that some of this is fear-based. I think sometimes we make bad decisions or decisions that are not in our best interest because we're afraid that if I lose that customer, I won't have someone else in that bay, or I don't have enough car count, frankly, and so the easiest way to get car count is to lower my price, and we're going to drag people in, and I'll find good people. So let me kind of rephrase David's question. So if my bays are not as full as I want them to be, Ryan says, I don't have a car count problem. My bays are full most of the time. And most means probably 95, 97. There might be a day or two where I don't have enough cars, but mostly we're full of cars. Patrick, you don't have that problem. I didn't have that problem when I ran the shop. The question is, what do I do if, what are some good ways, besides maybe running that $19 or $24 oil change, to bring customers in and have a consistent flow of the right people in my business, in my shop? So let's start with BJ. BJ, what are some marketing things that you would do if the bays are not as full as I want them to be?
Well, I think first, before you even think about your marketing, you need to find out who your cardboard cutout is, right? And go after that particular client. I've tried different stuff back in the day, trying different things because I thought it was price. So you put out the $19 oil change and you get $19 oil changes. That's what you get. Because they're just looking for the $19 oil change for the most part. Yeah, you might hit a home run once in a while where somebody wants to fix the stuff on their car, but it never paid off in my shop. So once I went through and decided, okay, this is the type of customer that I'm looking for, and I did some direct marketing, I did some radio. In my area, we did some TV advertising stuff to help build our brand awareness and stuff and what we were about. That was the only thing that I could really do to bring customers in that were the right customers. Every time I tried to do something just to bring car count in and just to fill the bays, for the most part, it wasn't the right customer, and all it did is drag business down in the long term.
Okay, so Patrick, my bays aren't as full as I want them to be. I think BJ is absolutely correct. I better decide who I am and what kind of people I want to work on their cars. If I'm an inexpensive shop, I'm going to use the word cheap, not as a detrimental term, even though it has that connotation. Let's say that I'm the shop that's running the $25 oil change, and a really good customer that wants their car really inspected. They want to have that relationship, but the service advisor's too busy doing $24 oil changes to have that relationship, and the techs are too busy doing $24 oil changes to really inspect the car and create the plan. Am I going to be happy in that shop if I am that customer that wants that extra service, that extra stuff? And if I'm the guy that wants the inexpensive job, doesn't really want someone to look at my car, am I going to be happy in a shop that does a complete inspection and takes the time to do those things and then tries to sell me $3,000 worth of stuff? Patrick, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think you know the answer to that, but of course not. Again, I go back to everybody's got to figure out, first of all, who they are, as a shop. If you're going to be the cheap guy, that's what you're going to get. If you're If you're sick and tired of scraping the bottom of the barrel, then you got to do something different. Yeah, nobody's ever happy not getting what they want. I've got some clients that don't like the new business model, about 5% of them. We changed our business model. We are a relationship model. We have loaner cars. We have a 3-year warranty. We provide rental cars for all of our clients. We do all the stuff to make it a good experience for our clients. And most everybody likes that. There are those that don't want that. And those I send down the road. And, you know, if car count's an issue, the thing that I have found in this industry that holds true no matter what it is, whether it be reviews or car count or whatever, you got to ask for what you want. The customers that like you and that come there, they have friends, they have family. If you're not asking for what you want, asking for referrals, as far as the marketing aspect, that's a huge thing. Asking for referrals from the people who do frequent your shop, whether you run a discount model or you run a relationship model. If you're asking for those referrals, that's a good source of new clients.
So let me see if I understand you correctly. Mm-hmm. Having a referral program, a real process where you ask for referrals routinely from your clients and actually reward them in some way. I would say no free auto repair, no discounts on auto repair, but you reward your good clients for sending you good customers. That's going to add more cars to my car count. Right?
Yeah, we do Starbucks cards, you know, gift cards, movie tickets. You know, we do handwritten thank you cards. You know, whatever your business model is, you know, you tailor it to fit whatever your model is, but it works.
Okay, Ryan, I don't have enough people in my base. I've got a fairly good referral process, and my service advisor is asking every customer for referrals. We're doing good follow-up on that. What else could I do to fill my base? You have a shop. You need clients. What are you doing that makes it so you don't have to worry about car count?
I mean, I think the first thing, if you've got someone standing around, is before you even look anywhere else, look inside the shop, look at the cars that are already there. I mean, I know everyone should already know this, but I mean, if you don't feel like you have enough cars and your ARO is $300, there's more work there that's already in your shop. You don't even need to go anywhere else. Now, once your ARO is higher and you feel like, A, you're taking care of the customers properly and you're maximizing your no pay time, and then it's time to look for more cars, and that's fine. I think that there are, you know, all the typical and more current best practices. Facebook marketing has very powerful targeting. So if you would like to define your customer, I mean, you can really, really go after that particular person as opposed to, you know, doing a mailer and just hitting everyone in the neighborhood. AdWords, same thing. You can really kind of target these toward exactly who it is that you think. I mean, especially if you have a specialty shop. I mean, you don't want to waste time, you know, marketing to cars you don't even work on. Some of the feedback we've gotten from people who ask how they found us and other successful shops, you'd be surprised referral can still be like 50 to 60% of where your new customers are. And so two things, when you look at that, first off, you realize that how important a referral program is, but also how you take care of your existing customers, loyal customers. They take less time to sell. So you have to look at your attrition rate and your dead customers and think, are we really, really taking awesome care of these people? Or are we constantly like treading water trying to get new people in there because we don't have enough loyal customers? So working on what's already in the shop in terms of ARO, working on who's already a customer and are we keeping them? Do we have a customer relationship management system? Do we reach out to them? Do we send them thank you cards? Do we have a referral program? All that stuff is so much less expensive, in my opinion, than a lot of the marketing stuff that you can do. And that's like last in line. But a lot of people, I mean, if you need something quick, I mean, generating like goodwill with existing customers, that takes time. You've got to, which goes back to deciding what kind of shop you're going to be. It's a long-term strategy. And if you want something quick, I mean, yeah, you can discount, and that's one way to do it. But
so let me point another. I just love the conversation. I keep having these ideas pop up in my head. So if I'm rushing 25 cars a day through 4 technicians, can those technicians really do a great job of inspecting the car? Can they, fill the paperwork out the way I need to? Can they communicate with the service advisor? And maybe I have 3 service advisors handling 25 clients, but if I have 3 service advisors, my cost goes up as opposed to maybe a shop that has 13 cars a day or 14 cars a day with a higher average repair order and 4 technicians. At that point, does the car get a better inspection? Does the customer get a better feel? Do they get more attention? Can a very high volume, high car count shop give the customer the same touch and feel as a lower volume, not necessarily dollars wise, but car count wise shop with the same staff? Yes or no? No, we don't want updates right now. Thank you. Love that. Pops up on my computer. Sorry. Can they do that? Can a shop with 4 techs and 25 cars a day treat the customer and do the inspections the same as a shop with 13 cars and 4 techs a day? BJ, I know I got Ryan. I know I got Patrick over there. He's like,
No. No.
Okay. And if the way that I treat my customer and make them feel while they're in my shop is probably, to me, it's like one of the most important things. If I have a great culture and customers feel good about coming to my business and they feel like they're special and they're getting the attention they need and we're taking care of their car. What are the okay? I got another one here from Bambi. We'll ask this question. We got another 6 minutes or so. And do the techs feel a part of a family and appreciated? Is there a cost to high turnover of techs because you're wearing them out and you're running too many cars through them, not allowing them to really do their job?
Yep.
Yeah. So Patrick, what are your thoughts on that? We'll give you a minute or two here. And
Well, I've done every single job in a shop. I've been in that shop where it's high car count, low average repair order. I wasn't happy. I had work, but I wasn't making any money. The way I look at it is, we got into this industry to take care of our customers, and you can't do a good job from the technician to the owner, the service advisor, everybody in between. You can't do a good job if you're rushing through it. This is a relationship. It's about relationships. It's about the relationships with your employees. It's about the relationships with your customers. It's about all those relationships and how you cultivate them and the culture you create in your business. That's what's gonna be the difference. And being, like Ryan says, being sustainable is what is sustainable. And for me, being sustainable and creating a culture within the business for the customers and the employees is more important, so that I can do a good job for them, take good care of their cars, and have those long-lasting customers for years and years and years.
So there are guys out there kind of teaching, and again, maybe this is the wrong question, but I think it might be a good question. This is about business and this is about me being profitable. So if I have to not pay the tech as well as I might to put the gross profit in my bottom line, and not, that 5% I'm going to give up is going to come from my tech, or maybe my supplier. I'm going to beat up my supplier for a better price on everything. Is that the right thing to do? Because this is just business. And if the supplier can't protect themselves or the tech can't protect themselves, is it okay that I beat everybody up over price so that I get what I need, but they don't get what they need? Ryan, we got a couple of minutes. I'm going to let you say whatever you feel like you need to say there about that.
I think that you could almost make a case in multi-store operations that, you'd have an easier time getting away with that. I think as a single store, especially a small to mid-sized single store, that's kind of how I look at a lot of, our audience and the circles that we're in out there. I just don't think that it's a good way to do business for them. And as far as multiple store operations, you can make less net per per store, and as an owner or whatever the corporate structure is, or the stockholders, they could probably do okay. But I don't want to offend anyone, but like you're kind of moving toward being a chain store. I mean, is a large chain like Midas profitable? Probably. Is it good for our industry? I don't think so. But they have to exist, and I see that too. So
I agree.
McDonald's is out there. I'd rather eat Chipotle and spend a few more dollars and be healthier, but I get that it's kind of, I don't know, it's a yin and yang. They're always going to exist. So to me, it's just going to come back to who I want to be.
We got one more question. I think it's a good question. Joe says, what if you lower your car count and do better inspections, but you're not finding the repairs, so the higher average repair orders aren't there. You're either not finding it or you're not able to sell it. So now I don't have as many cars, but I'm also not raising my average repair order. I'm not making that work. I think it's two-part. Will the repairs be there if I do good inspections? Yep. Patrick says yes. I think Ryan says yes. I believe BJ would say yes. I think our typical, if you look at the 100+ customers that we have, that typically the guys that are doing good inspections are finding $1,200 to $1,400 in a general repair shop, and in the German car shops we're finding $1,800, about $2,400 routinely with a good inspection. The second part of that is, can I sell it? Does my service advisor have the ability to get my customer to feel good about doing business with us, and will the customer spend the money? Frankly, there's a lot of people out there that are still financially strapped. I also would say that's a marketing problem because you're bringing the wrong people in. but what do you do if you do that? Slow it down, but you're not bringing they're not finding the repairs, or you're not able to sell the repairs. Can't bring the up.
It's education, educating your techs, educating your staff. It comes back to education.
Okay. BJ, last thoughts. You get the last minute, and then I'm going to wrap up with just a couple things.
Well, I would say that if the average predator doesn't come up, we're not doing a good thorough inspection, and we need to look at the training process behind that. Make sure that we have a good A-tech in the shop that can show the rest of the techs how exactly we want that done, and make sure it's done consistently, and that we audit those inspection sheets to be sure that they're being done correctly. Also, as far as the service advisor goes, we have a program for that, so stay tuned.
Okay. And then Craig is saying there comes a point with your regular customers where you've done everything on their car. They're coming back to you because they love you, but you're not finding a lot of work that needs to be done. First of all, I would say, are your customers driving BMWs? Because when they come in, they need a lot of work. What are your customers driving? I know maybe they're all driving Toyotas and they don't need as much work, but.
Well, we kind of had the same discussion the other day with Tom regarding that type of situation in his shop. So.
Yeah, and then if you're doing marketing and you are doing a good referral program and et cetera, you're going to build that customer base. I think one of the problems with the discount customers, they're not as loyal. And even though they may come in once, the next time they're going to look for that discount. If I'm not continually discounting, I'm not going to bring them back. And then they also don't buy as much in general. So if I build my business on the wrong customers, it's going to be a more difficult business. I can still make it work, but it might be more difficult. All right, we're running out of time. I'd like to thank everyone that came on. There's Brian asked, what's a good inspection time frame? I will tell you that if you're running a DVI system, we're probably looking at 20 to 30 minutes for a good inspection. If you're running a manual system like we used to do in the old days, I know I shouldn't say that because it makes me look like an old grandpa, but I am an old grandpa, 39 years worth of experience in the industry. If you're running a manual type inspection, my guys could do it in about 10 to 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. I like the DVIs in a lot of ways. I don't like them in some other ways. Maybe that would be a good thing to ask on our next meeting. So for all of you that are watching this or have watched this, thank you. For my participants, Patrick, BJ, and Ryan, thank you so much for being here. Our next show will be June 7th at 10 a.m. We're going to do this every 2 weeks. We would love to have you there. We'll see some advertising through our Facebook and through some other methodologies so that you know when that is. This will be reposted tonight at 6 p.m. And also on the 7th, we'll repost. So we're going to do the meeting during the day. We're going to repost it in the evening for those guys that got to watch in the evening. And once again, if you want to ask questions, you'll get answers from us. questions@iforabe.com. Again, thank you so much for your participation, guys. Thank you so much for being here online with us. Please have a great day, a great week, and do your best to help the industry.
So I wanted to give a quick shout out to Gary at Airport Automotive in Colorado Springs. He has really done a complete turnaround. He's on target to do over $1 million this year, first time ever. So he's doing really well. His margins are all doing really well. He's come a long way. So big shout out to Gary at Airport Automotive.
Yay, Gary.
Good job, Gary.
And keep up the good work, Gary, and everyone else. Again, we're here to help. Please let us know how we can help you. Have a great day. Thank you.